Hello, I'm Andy Schmuckler. Looking at the gathering of Trump's lie 2 point, big lie 2.0 that he's getting. He's been positioning himself right along. He says things like the only way they can win is by cheating. He says that with no basis whatsoever, but he says it. And he's been saying things like that. And I guess in the last couple of days, he's starting to already make preparations for saying that there's something fraudulent about what's going to happen in Pennsylvania. In other words, he doesn't think he's going to win Pennsylvania, and he's going to, on the basis of no evidence whatsoever, like the last time, he's going to just say it's fraudulent. This is a very destructive thing to allow him to get away with. And he got away with it rather well the first time. Maybe he didn't overturn the election, but he was able to do a huge amount of damage to the American body politic because tens of millions of people at least told pollsters they believed that Joe Biden had stolen the election, even though there was no evidence. So it's about to happen again. You can see a whole lot of things that are happening in the Republican world to lay the groundwork for Trump's big lie. They're saying, oh, it's going to be on Fox News or one of these right-wing places, it's going to be a Trump landslide. No evidence whatsoever that that's the case, but they're creating expectations so that if Trump loses, or as I see it, when Trump loses, I am increasingly optimistic, having gone through pretty profound worry. I think that he is going to lose, and it is clear that he's not going to concede defeat. And what we need to be doing is asking ourselves, as this thing is gathering, what can we do to minimize the amount of damage he's able to do with that? I'm not particularly worried that he'll manage to overturn the election. I mean, he didn't manage to do that last time, and he was commander-in-chief of the American Armed Forces. This time, Joe Biden is going to be commander-in-chief and the guy who controls the American law enforcement and in a at the national level. I don't think if it didn't work in 2020, it's not going to work in 2024, but it can do an enormous amount of damage. We do not want any more people in this country to believe when Kamala Harris is inaugurated as president in January, if my gut feeling is right, we don't want there to be, 60 million Americans who think that she didn't legitimately win. So what can we do? What can we do? Nothing is what my point is. There should be some preemptive move. And the purpose of the preemptive move would be to prepare the consciousness of as many Americans as possible who might be influenced by the big lie, so that when Trump claims victory on election night or however he plays out this hand, they don't see it as a valid thing. They see him through as much as possible through a different prism of this is a guy who's attacking the Constitution, a sore loser, however you want to depict it, so that they can see his big lie for what it is and him for what he is, rather than what might otherwise happen if we didn't do some effective preparation of these people. What might become part of the American body politic that's at war with the Democratic president that they don't recognize as legitimate. I mean, they didn't recognize Obama as legitimate. They don't recognize Biden as legitimate. The whole Republican trip is the elections count only when we win it. But Americans aren't necessarily all behind that kind of fascistic consciousness. They might actually be in a place where they might believe what Trump says after he loses the election. And we need to put out a message to them designed for a particular purpose, so that when they hear that, when Trump makes that move in the wake of losing a free and fair election, as few people as possible. I mean, we're not going to get rid of all those people in the Trump cult. They seem to be able to follow him anywhere. But there are a lot of people that can go either way depending on how they're hearing things. And we can affect that by some kind of preemptive strike. A preemptive strike, which is not just we who recognize the lie from the beginning for what it is, not just talking to each other on MSNBC, but some form of messaging to those people who might respond favorably to a big lie from Trump, but might be persuaded to hear it differently. I think that's probably a fair number of people. And I don't know exactly who should deliver this preemptive strike or exactly how it should be phrased, but it has to reach, the Fox News viewership. It has to reach those people who might be about to vote for Trump, and a lot of the people who would vote for Kamala but don't recognize essentially what Trump's big lie would be. At the very top, I could imagine Kamala Harris delivering a preemptive strike of this kind. She might say, "We've seen what this guy does. I promise you, he does not admit defeat, even when he's defeated. Now, if he wins, I will concede defeat, but he's showing every sign that he's going to do again what he illegitimately did in 2020, that he's going to accept the election only if he wins." And whatever the best way is to make an impression on those people who might be moved from hearing Trump's claims of stolen election and some lending it any credence, to help make them perceive what he's doing and how it must be rejected. Because Kamala Harris, I believe, will become president in January. But what's the country going to be like when she becomes president? There's something wrong in our country, and that big lie just exacerbates it. It creates a big component of the American body politic that's kind of crazy and that believes things that are false, and things that are always, these falsehoods are always have destructive repercussions. It's not any kind of idealistic thing. It's always kind of, we're being victimized, they are evil. We got to minimize how much of that there is in the country that Kamala Harris becomes president of next January. We need a good preemptive strike to minimize the damage that Trump can do with what he clearly is planning to do if the election shows that he is the loser. Thanks. Please subscribe if you're interested in my perspectives, and also to the videos. I invite you to go to my website, abetterhumanstory.org. There are some perspectives that are given there that might help with a problem that there's been in liberal America, that we really have not been paying enough attention to what's been going on in the other side of America. I had the experience back in the 1990s when my business, as it were, was doing talk radio, of having big liberal radio gatekeepers say, Rush Limbaugh's audience is not our concern. Well, it should have been. And this preemptive strike should be part of taking seriously that we need to worry about what kind of belief systems are flourishing on the other side of the American body politic, because we are stuck with these folks. The future contains an America in which these people and their children and their grandchildren are going to be part of our world, and our children's and our grandchildren's. And if something's gone wrong over there, it really is our business. I'll probably be making another video about the line. I'll use it as a title, the line, Rush Limbaugh's audience is not our concern. Big mistake.